and welcome back to the farm. As you can see, the pumpkin vines are just going crazy. This is what they're supposed to do. It's gonna be fun getting in and out. But I actually have a pumpkin on this. As you can see right there, that little knob. There's another one. And here's one that's just starting out. So that's a good sign. Now, today's topic is being, or a continuation of being an organic gardener in number setting. Your biggest problem that you run into is if you want to be purely organic, is it's not what I would consider very feasible. Like with these bees, somebody grows a soda can in my yard. It just happens to land there. They're not aiming. The bees will come in, soak up or drink the soda, because there's a lot of sugar in it. Take it back to the hive. I'm no longer organic. That's the reason why I don't advocate for being pure organic, especially in the garden. The second reason is, let's just say you plant your garden, you have a bumper crop, you do a soil test and it comes back that you're having nutrient deficiencies. You're not going to replace that with normal organic material. You're going to have to fertilize. This is what we call a blended approach. Well, what are some ways that I can maintain my organic status? Well, the easiest and quickest way, especially if you're a homeowner, is composting. Now, what is compost? Compost is anything that's biodegradable that has carbon and nitrogen combined to break down, as he's using the microbial forces that will break down the materials into soil. Well, what do I need to maintain? Well, all you need is some type of bin. A trash can works fine. Then you start looking at our materials. For example, let's say you have a family member, like a grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, that still likes reading the newspaper. You take the old newspaper, run it through a paper shredder, you dump that into the bin, in the layer, then you come back, add our food scraps. You add water, lots of water. Want it to be this like you're squeezing a carton sponge out, a couple drops of water. Then you keep building that up until it hits what we call critical mass. Then it will start breaking up. Another way is to get a compost thermometer. This is what you see right here. You see my pile is getting a little cool. To heat it up. Now, ideally, you want it to be at 150 degrees, which I believe is about 65 degrees Celsius, if I'm reading this correctly. That will kill off all the pathogens and weed seeds. In a home setting, you're not going to achieve that. I always say you want about 100, maybe 110. I've never hit 110. I've seen 100 easy. Then you just make sure you have plenty of water. You come back in between six months and a year. All this is what we call a cold static pile, meaning it doesn't move, stays here indefinitely. And you can see you also use their sticks. You can use tree leaves. The sky's the limit as long as you know it's biodegradable. The second option I use is worm composting. This is more of a specialized discipline. And I apologize if you see the mess around here. I just got done buying a whole lot of stuff. Found a store closing down, so it was a very good buy. But this is where I use certain types of composting worms. In this case, the red wrigglers. and I add my food waste into here, and I add some bedding materials, which this is all local stuff. You can use shredded newspaper, cardboard, junk mail, as I've said before. Then you add your food waste, but you do not want to exceed the necessary amount of food in here. Don't overfeed. Reason being is you still have the same processes involved. When you have 2 parts nitrogen to 1 part carbon, it starts heating up. And something else I forgot about the compost pile over here is you want a dirty nitrogen to 1 carbon ratio for it to heat up. It's not realistically, but as long as you get 2 parts nitrogen, which I would say more greens than carbon, you'll be fine. Now, what can I do with that compost? Number one is, if you're looking to seed start, you can use small amounts to boost the seed starting. Plants respond positively to that because it is a probiotic. 2, you can add that compost into the soil as a mulch material. Which you can see right here. I added this as a mulch material. That's going to break down in the soil. It's going to take 5 years for it to break down fully. If you're wondering why I left the sticks there, the beneficial insects that we have out here in the States, for example ladybugs, they will actually use the wood at the soil level, so it's beneficial for me to do so. That will break down, and it will help keep the unnecessary plants that I do not want in the garden, such as Bermuda grass. The third thing is it acts as a probiotic. What do I mean by probiotic? Think of it this way. In the soil you have all forms of life. You have bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa. You have microscopic worms known as cnidamates. You have the earthworms, and then you have the various insects that dwell at the soil level. So you have a big web of life. But you're creating what we call a microenvironment and this micro ecosystem. But nature will reward you for creating that because it's beneficial, so you get even more of a yield. But the thing is, you want to keep adding the material every year. If you don't, it's going to diminish. This is why earlier, as I alluded to, saying as a blended approach, we use both organic and synthetic means. Like right now, as it stands, I would not be able to get these pumpkins as big as they are, or to promote the growth that I have, if I didn't add fertilizer back into the soil. So that's why it's there. The next thing would be over applications of using the compost and worm castings. Okay. Back at the worm bin. If you notice here, I have a spigot here, and you see it's starting to want to drip a little. That's what we call worm tea. Think of it this way: you have the worm castings. Let me just do this again to make sure that you have a good camera. And that is, think of it as just think of that as the material that's been put in an aqueous solution that, since it's in a liquid form, is more easily able to penetrate the layers and go where it needs to go. So one way you can do that is using a bin like this if you want the worm tea. The other option is to take a 5-gallon bucket, add add your compost in a cheesecloth, paint strainer, whatever you have laying down. You add a pump and some type of bubbler, and you let it bubble for a few days, because you're aerating the material, because you don't want it to be anaerobic. If you get an anaerobic, it's going to reduce methane. Not helpful. Then that will act as a liquid or foliar feeder, because I haven't done that unless it's something I plan on doing next season. I say season, that spring. So there's plenty of ways of organic means, but is that organic means what you need? You have to weigh that out. I didn't show you these guys. Like here's two right here. Like there's one there. The number. Let's see if I get in there. There's another one there. So you see the pumpkins are responding well because I've been doing what I need to do. But if I was, say, an organic farm, there would be no way I'd be able to achieve this without major work and letting the soils rest. So if you're on the fence about this, don't be discouraged, but look at how you make the system work for you. Don't worry about the organic material, it will come. But now, something I've always said is don't wait till tomorrow, start now.